going on. Oh, sorry.
We got a thing. Probably not good. I was going to use that here, but we start off. We got a thing going on. No, we don't. No, we don't. Tim, come tell us. This is Tim. This is her husband. He's doing all the filming for us. Everyone say hi to Tim.
That's me. On camera.
Happy Life Studio. Oh. Welcome to A Penny for Your Thoughts. I'm Steve Hayes.
And I'm Nena McCaffrey.
This is brought to you by Happy Life Studios, straight from Nena's kitchen.
From my kitchen, guys.
And we've been talking about, we're just two normal people. We're not clinicians. We're not doctors by any means. We're not psychologists or psychiatrists. We're just regular people that didn't feel regular because we struggle with anxiety, anger. They're all connected, right? This is just an anxiety thing. The hacks and the tips that you're learning from here also work with all sorts of, they say love is blind because when you're in love, all you can see is that other person and you can't even think clearly. Well, anger is blind too. They call it, that makes, I had a teacher in high school, my band teacher, scare the tar out of me because I never practiced, so he'd always get right in my face during marching season. And then he was just old military and he'd go, Hayes, that makes me see red. Okay, what does that even mean? But when you're angry, that's all you see is that anger, when you're just in despair, when you're depressed, all you see is that, and it's blind. It blinds you to everything else. Yeah, and anxiety is
all you can think about.
That's all you can think about. So we're just two regular people that have gone through that and still struggle with it. On a fairly regular basis, but we're victorious. And then we did a podcast with Nena that goes more into detail about all that. So just search Happy Life Studios from wherever you watch your podcast or whatever, and then just type in Nena and then you'll find it, and you'll get more onto what Nena. But when you listen to that, you'll sit back and go, wow. So you've come a long way. You've come a long way. And we want to help you get there too. We don't want to be a part of the problem. We want to be a part of the solution. And that's what Happy Life Studios is all about. So anyway, we would love your comments, any questions that they may have for us. And you can just email me at stevo@happylife.studio. Stevo, S-T-E-V-O, at happylife.studio. That's the kids in the background, but that's okay. We're talking about anxiety, so there's a...
Stay in the room. Don't make any noise.
Because it's making me anxious, right? So you can email me at stevo@happylife.studio, or you can call us at 425-200-4297 and leave a voicemail for us with comments that you have, anything that you'd like for us to talk about. And it was really kind of cool because I was doing my Happy Talk Tuesdays on Facebook, and someone not even knowing about what we were about to do here said, Steve, you should do a thing on, you should do a thing on anger and anxiety. And I was like, oh my goodness, she has no idea. I said, you have no idea what we're about ready to do. And that was right before I came down here on this trip. And I came down here to do a reset retreat, and then we stuck around extra so that we could be doing this from your kitchen. And so we love your input, and we're here for you. And we want to let you know that you can make it through this. Don't be afraid to share this stuff with people that you think might be struggling. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. Would you say that it's kind of normal if you're struggling with anxiety or discouragement, or
in the middle of a pandemic and shutdowns?
Hello.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
It's normal. Don't have grace and realize
to yourself.
Yeah, have grace with yourself.
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
We don't want to give ourselves grace.
There's a lot going on, a lot of changes in our world, our country, depending on your state. Yeah, I don't like change. Right. So I think anxiety a lot of times is the process of us having to get used to something new, different.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really good.
So kind of ride it out, ride the wave.
Anxiety is the process. Sometimes it's the process. It's the road that we have to take to get used to the thing that's new. Wow, I like that. It reminds me of, before I came on this trip, my wife was thinking that she'd like to move her office. We both have home office, right? And there's a big room right next to the room her office is in that we never use anymore. The boys have grown up and stuff, and so she said, I want to move my office there. Well, it was only a 10 foot move, right? 15-foot move from one, but you wouldn't believe what it did to our whole house. To move it from that one to the other thing, I mean, you had to move the mattresses because it's a big old bean bag. We had to move it in this room because we're going to put the chair in this room, and pretty soon the whole basement was affected by moving one office 10 feet.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where we're at right now. You know, we're learning new ways to do stuff. Our restaurants, the unemployment, the pandemic is going on, and I believe that God is going to use. God is up to something, and there's also good things happening out of this too. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, we're spending more time with family. People, in some ways, are being more mean because the anxiety and the anger is kicking up, right? But there's a lot of good things going on, but the media is not talking about that, but there's a lot of good things going on from this. And I just feel like we're transitioning right now. But in the middle of that transition, man, it's like you said, what did you say? Anxiety is the path that sometimes we take to get to the new thing
Or a lot of times when there's change in our life, anxiety is a reaction to that. Something new, the unknown, and you just kind of write it out, wait it out.
So you know what I tell myself when I go downstairs, and on the top of all that, we've had a house that room was partially painted for 10 years, and so I got to finish painting that. So then that made everything a mess too. I had to pull everything from the wall, had a great big huge ceiling that I had to paint, and so, I did all that and so when I'm getting ready to leave, but the house is just a mess. But you know what I had to keep telling myself? It's because we're moving our office. It isn't a mess just because, we almost look like hoarders.
There's a purpose.
There's purpose to it, right? Yeah. And I have to tell myself, I have to look at that mess and go, wait a minute. Number one, my wife is the best cleaner out there. She can, what takes me days to clean, she can do in hours, right? And I know that it's going to happen because she's moving her office. But we're in transition, and I look at my wife and I say, she's happy in her new space, and I like her in that new space. I like the new paint on the walls. So this is kind of the price that's going on. So when I tell myself that, it helps me handle that. What would cause me anxiety or whatever. And I also know that when it came to my anxiety, when I was struggling with the panic attacks, what I had to tell myself, this reminds me so last episode we talked a lot about panic attacks, and we decided we want to go more into it because we didn't, we didn't get nearly into it there's a lot we could talk about. There's a lot we could talk about here. And I want to get quick because I want to dive into you. You're the one that's conquered the soul. Anyway, I don't want to do all the talking here. I'm getting ready to dive into you. I just want to say this is that when I was going through a panic attack, what I would tell myself is, like you said, you learned that to tell yourself this is just adrenaline. I didn't know that. But what I did say is I've been through this before, and my mind was trying to tell me that I was dying, or my mind was trying to tell me that the world was going to,
or that you're crazy,
that I'm crazy, right? And I was like, wait a minute, no, that's not true, because you told me that yesterday, but it never happened. So when I would in a panic attack, I would tell myself, this isn't real. It's like reality TV, right? That isn't reality at all, right? We're calling it reality TV. So your panic, your anxiety, your anger, your depression, your sadness, your whatever's trying to tell you, grabbing you, it's being a bully, you grabbing you by the shirt saying, this is real, feel this, and you're like, wait a minute. This isn't real. This isn't real. You said when you went through it, this is just adrenaline. I didn't know that, so I just say, this isn't real. I have to keep telling myself, this isn't real. This isn't real. You're going to be okay. And it's like I put a bouncer inside my head. There's actually a Bible verse that says to take hold of your thoughts, right? To make your thoughts captive. I put it like putting a bouncer inside the entrance to your brain, and the bouncer stands there and says, wait a minute, what's your thought again? How did you get in here? Get out of here, That's what anxiety is. They're unwelcome thoughts trying to tell us a lie that's not true.
Yeah.
You said something last episode that I want to get, so that takes me into what you said last episode, which was when you're going through, your body's trying to remember, the penny for your thought last episode was your body's is a messenger. It's trying to tell you something. It's on your side. Don't ignore it. It's trying to help you. Your body's not against you. It's trying to help you figure something out.
And it uses anxiety to do that.
Just like moving from the one room to the other. So oftentimes it'll use anxiety to try to tell us something. We don't need to be afraid of that, but we don't want to ignore it either. When we're afraid of it, we want to ignore it. I'm not listening to la, 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 right? But you need to pay attention to it. It's trying to tell you something. And you said something last episode about you learn to take inventory. When your body's trying to tell you something like that, panic comes, anxiety comes, anger comes, fear comes, whatever, in more than normal, you take inventory. Can you dive into that for us? What does that mean?
Okay, so our body is a messenger, and it uses anxiety to send us the message it's trying to give us. And like we talked about last time, the message is, I'm tired, I'm overworked, I'm exhausted, I need rest, I need more fun, I need more recreation.
It could be a number of things.
It's along that lines, but to sum it up, we'll say I'm tired. Your body is trying to tell you I'm tired, I need rest. So that's the message our body's trying to send us, and it uses anxiety to do that. So instead of fearing these physical symptoms of anxiety when this is happening, we need to learn not to fear our bodies when we feel these weird things, but to remember, oh, my body is my friend. My body's on my side, is trying to help me out. And so when we recognize, okay, I'm having anxiety, I'm having panic attacks, we need to take inventory of our life, of the environment around us, the situation around us, and
in other words, ask, why am I feeling this way? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And so we look at our life.
There's a reason so why is it telling me this?
So if I take a look at my life, what could be causing my anxiety? And so these are just examples. These are examples. Okay, I moved recently. I've been dealing with an illness, or a close friend just passed away. These are all stresses in our lives, okay? Or there's good stresses. I'm about to get married. We're about to have a baby. I have a new
promotion, new job.
So there's good stresses, there's bad stresses in our life. Anytime there's changes, like all these things.
Can good stresses lead to anxiety too? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, think about it. Wedding day, a lot of brides. Well, I was so stressed out, I yawned the whole morning. Because that's how my body was dealing with it. But yeah, even good stresses can cause anxiety because there's something new we're headed towards.
Yeah. So anytime we're experiencing anxiety, we need to take inventory of our life. Take a look at your life, be introspective. Okay, what is going on? Good and bad. What's going on in my life or in the world around us, like the pandemic? And ask yourself, okay, could this be a contributing factor to why I'm feeling uneasy, to why I'm feeling anxious, to why I can't sleep? And when you can kind of pinpoint a source for your anxiety, for me, that helps a lot. It helps take a lot of the fear away. It helps remind me I am not crazy. Like there's a legitimate reason to why I'm feeling this way.
Everybody's trying to tell me something. I might not know what it is. And I want to say this too, that sometimes when you don't know what it is, and sometimes when you're in panic, like we said last episode, love is blind, so is anger. You can't see anything but that emotion at that point. It's like in your face. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're in the middle of this, and you said you got to take inventory of your life. Why am I going through this? But sometimes, to be honest with you, we can't, because we're in the middle of this anger, this anxiety, this fear, and then media on top of it, and it's all around us. And so sometimes we're swimming in this black hole of, you're swimming in this whirlpool of just all this stuff going on, like a hurricane, of all these thoughts. That's how it is in my brain half the time, right? And so if that's what's going on with you, then call somebody. Ask somebody, hey, what's going on with my life?
Mm-hmm. So a couple weeks ago, I had somebody call me who had listened to my podcast, and it helped them realize, oh, I think I'm struggling with this. So they reached out to me. They needed advice, they needed a talk, and I remember her actually saying, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. And so I told her just what we're talking about. Okay, well, let's look at your life. What's going on in your life? So we can probably get an idea of why this is happening. And so she began to tell me recent things that have happened. So it's not only this coronavirus pandemic, but I think she had recently moved. The living situation with her roommates was a little stressful. And then in a few weeks from then, she was going to start a new internship for school. And so there's all these big changes, big life changes going on in her life right now. And I told her, well, that's why you have anxiety. There it is.
You told her that.
I think the light bulb went off in her head. She was like, oh my goodness, well, yeah, that would make sense.
That had to feel so good to her to have somebody else go, all these things? So no wonder
I think she was under the impression that, something's wrong with me, or, something like that. And when she could take an honest appraisal of her life, and if I could help her see her life the way that me on the outside views it, I think she realized, man, I have a good reason why I'm feeling this way. It's okay to feel this way.
Right. It reminds me a little bit about, when the coronavirus hits, right? I'm not a doctor by any means, and we're not a doctor. If you need to see a doctor on some of this stuff, you need to do that, right? So I'll probably explain this wrong, but it's an immune thing, right? It affects our immune system, right? So when
stress does.
Yeah, well, and so does the coronavirus, right?
Oh,
it tends to, like the flu is the same way. Like when you're stressed out, when you're weary, when you're tired, you're more susceptible to the flu. Anxiety is the same way, right? Anger is the same way. It's like the flu. It's like the coronavirus. It's like when you're tired, when you're weary, when you're angry, when you're stressed, when you're whatever, you're more susceptible to
becoming an anxious person,
an angry person, a sad person, or whatever.
Depressed.
So your body's trying to tell you a lesson, trying to tell you something. Don't ignore it. Listen to it, right? Yeah. Take inventory, of your life. But so I just listened to a medical doctor on a podcast just today who was talking about, they were trying to tell people to don't panic about this. The media's putting all stuff about coronavirus out there, and there's a lot. No one's putting out the good stuff about it. They're putting out and they're even trying to. This person even said a lot of times I don't want to throw them under the bus, but a lot of times the World Health Organization. He says I feel he's a medical doctor. I think he even won the Nobel Peace Prize years ago, right? Yeah, he did. And so he said, I don't know if they come out and just if they only tell you this, tell you what the level. They always exaggerate it because they're afraid people aren't going to listen to them, whatever. But the problem is when you're under anxiety or panic or your immune system is down, fear makes you more susceptible to the virus that you're afraid of. So it's like a person that struggles with alcoholism going to the bar to forget that he struggles with alcoholism. It's kind of the same thing, And so when someone calls you up and asks for help, just like I said, they called you up and said, I'm struggling with, I think I listened to your podcast. I think I might have anxiety. I don't know why. And you're like, well, let's talk about it. And you were able to walk her through. And then she goes, oh.
And I think it reassured her, like, it kind of gave her, I think, permission to feel that way.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Don't fear it. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's natural. Yeah. I think a lot more people have anxiety and panic attacks than know it. And like you said, you had it for 12, 14 years, something like that.
Like 14 years.
And you didn't know about it for like 14 years before, and you hid it from everybody, and that just made it worse,
Yeah.
And so sometimes when it comes to taking inventory of your life, you need help, And my wife does it for me a lot.
Yeah.
So say, well, babe, number one, everyone's feeling this way right now, or you've been gone on a trip. It's the same thing with me. You'd think I know. Every trip I come back from, I go home, and I'm doing really good because the first couple of days I have adrenaline from the trip. I'm up. So I forget all about that I was on a trip. 2 days in, 3 days in, it's a cycle that my friends all pointed out to me. I never saw it, but they could see it. I mean, I've been doing this for decades, right? My wife goes, Steve, you were just on a trip. You just got back. You have all the stresses going on. You've been helping people the whole time. You've been pouring into people the whole time you've been away. And I'm like, oh, no wonder I'm feeling this. Now I'm getting to the point where I'm a little better. Now I can start spotting it myself. Yeah. But it's no joke. I mean, it's when we're in the middle of it. So you said it earlier, and I love that. I love that. That's my penny for your thoughts right there. Give yourself some grace. You're not the only one in this thing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times we expect ourselves to be able to handle this, handle that, handle this, handle that, and be able to handle it all calmly with a smile. Right. Like we're human. Like,
and we say, I shouldn't be feeling this way. Well, you do feel that way.
And it's
just natural. You are feeling that way. So stop telling yourself you shouldn't. You are.
You're human. We can't handle everything calmly all the time.
So it's what we do with those thoughts. It's what we do with those feelings. That's feelings are important, but they're not supposed to be the engineer. They're supposed to be in the locomotive, in the caboose. Yeah. I mean, they belong in the car because feelings are telling us something. It's our body trying to tell us something's up.
Yeah.
When we do something well, what's our feelings tell us? That was good. Yeah. Do that again. We do something bad. Shame, regret is trying to tell us, don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So listen to it. But I think it's when we allow the feelings to drive us around that are going to lead us into trouble. When we allow anxiety to drive us around, it's going to lead us into trouble. But like you said in one of the previous episodes, you have the control over yourself.
Yeah,
you have control of that anxiety. You don't have to put up with that. it might feel it's out of place. That anxiety does not belong in your body. So don't just cave into it. Go, well, I guess I'm just going to live a life of anxiety. You don't have to. There are things that you can do.
Yeah, we have more control over our anxiety than I think we realize.
Yeah. And our anger, our sadness, our depression.
But that's a good thing.
It is a good thing. It's a very good thing.
That means, I can do something about it.
If I make some right choices,
things will get better.
A friend said this to me.
That's so freeing.
Right choices always bring right feelings. They don't always do it right away, but they always bring right feelings. So if you're feeling bad, make a right choice. And your feelings, you put them in the back seat. They'll tell you, hey, good job. You're going the right direction. I mean, so penny for your thoughts.
Okay, so a penny for your thoughts for this episode would be, I would say, first of all, recognize when you're feeling anxious. Recognize when you're feeling sad, stressed, tired. I think you'll recognize it when you have a panic attack. That's obvious. So recognize it for what it is and take an honest inventory of your life. Take an appraisal of your life and your environment and what's going on in your world, in your home, in your family. Try to pinpoint good and bad stresses that could be causing you to feel this way. And then ask yourself, is there anything that I can do about this or to help myself feel better? Is there any change that I can make? And ask yourself, what does my body need right now? What do I need given these circumstances? And so some changes we could make, for example, if you have too many commitments on your plate, you have to say no to some things, you have to pull out of some things, and I've had to do that many times, and that is okay.
But when you don't say no, you know what? You're saying yes to anxiety.
Well, yeah, and you keep piling on the stress.
You have to say yes to one or the other.
Yeah.
You have to say no to one or the other. You're either going to say no to that person, and then you're getting rid of the anxiety, or you say no to the anxiety. I'm saying no to...
Yeah, so that's just one example. Or you could, I know for me a lot of times what triggers my anxiety is I don't get enough sleep at night. So when I start feeling this way, I'm like, okay, I need to be getting to bed a little bit earlier. Like my body's telling me that. And then also, ask yourself, do I need anything right now? What do I need that would help me feel better? Is it rest? Do I need to take a day off and go do something I enjoy? We need to take care of ourselves. So take an honest look at your life.
And if you can't take a whole day off, maybe you can take a moment. When my dad was sick in the hospital and he was dying in the hospital, you know what got me through it? This is going to sound really stupid, but what got me through it was I go outside the hospital doors, I go around the corner, and I would do this. It's so dumb. It's a sigh. But that's what got me through.
It helps you gather yourself.
It was like a mini vacation. It was a mini moment. It was just 3 seconds of me just... And all of a sudden, I got a little bit more energy to go back up in that room and smile for my dad and tell my dad I love him or whatever. And so if you can't take a whole day or a whole week, then take what you can. Yeah,
but take inventory of your life. And if you recognize anything that needs to be changed, anything that you need to do for yourself, I just challenge you not to feel bad for having to do any of that. Don't feel guilty. You got to take care of yourself.
Give yourself some grace.
Yeah. Yeah, take care of yourself.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so are you. You're awesome. And you're worth it. And we need you. Thanks for watching. Share it with someone who maybe is going through some of the stuff yourself that you know. Share it with them. Maybe it'll help them. But thanks for watching. Don't forget to call us 425-200-4297 or email us at stevo@happylife.studio. Try it again.
Happy Life Studio.